All right, so just a quick little first look here. We again have the school bus back in the garage, the derby stall here. And again, if you saw the final run, she had a good run. She ended up carrying out the trophy, took a couple shots on the side, already had some damage there. Up front, we didn't take any nose hits until the last two, where I went as hard as I could into the guy's left wheel that had stalled out. Bottom of that weld pulled off a little bit, which again, if you watch the build video of this PT Cruiser that I had, this bumper I've ran 3 times, and these plates were, the bottom of them was a little deteriorated, and I didn't have any time or extra cutting tools to kind of cut it off and make a clean weld. So the bottom of them was a little bit of a weak weld, so it bent up a little bit. But we'll bend that down a little maybe, but I'll probably just touch up the weld as much as I can, because you can see how the frame rails themselves are actually bowed a little bit. It kind of went in and up. I mean, I didn't go cross track at the guy, but I went as hard as I could inside. But you can see walking around just briefly again. If you didn't see the other video, she clean on this wheel, but again, this vehicle was wrecked, so the front wheels were both slightly turned in. Inside the rear of both wheels, the guy sideswiped a guardrail. He lost control and hit guardrail and rock, he said, whenever he was driving it in the winter. The back end took some big shots, but again, there is a lot of life left. In fact, I'm planning on running the stock tank again, because it's not until like up here, and there's really no concern until it's getting to here that it's going to be being pressed on. And I mean, I took a good shot in the middle that kind of bent it in, but you can see how these, again, Cruisers are hard. So plan is we'll take off the rear wheels and beat the kind of sheet metal back there and in as tucked in as much as it can, so it's tough, as well as away from the wheel on both sides. This one did take a shot. I stalled out, and that's unfortunately when I took the one hit in the wheel. I was trying to get a buddy that I thought was stuck. Turns out he actually, his frame up front pulled off and his CV shaft disengaged, but I thought he was stuck, and I was trying to get him off the wall, and a guy ran up my side and put a pretty good kind of door hit there, and partly back here. That's where that additional damage is. But all that's small and trivial, not a big deal. The big thing is this strut. So again, I stalled out and I took a good wheel hit whenever that happened. And you can see how right here above where it's bolted in, it bent. The wheel was bending on it and slightly in, but she held on. And again, she drove back in the trailer with a win. So this one here, the plan is, this is a 2002 PT Cruiser. I'm going to walk out back now and briefly show the 2007, if I remember right, PT Cruiser, which I believe is the same strut. It's the same strut set up here, and it seems to be the same measurements here. So I'm hoping to just unbolt her there, unbolt her here, and get that strut out. Hopefully not too much. Hoping I don't have to unhook and detach the control arm and all that other stuff. We'll see. I'm not super familiar with it. I've only taken one strut off, and that was last year in a Cobalt. And then I'll do the same on the 07 PT Cruiser, and hopefully just slide her up in there and bolt her in and put the wheel back on, and she's ready to go. So that's the plan. I'm going to show real quick now the other one. Other than that, just touch up. Again, I have the line looped here. Took the radiator off. I'll probably dump all of that out. I do have, again, here, right here is where the release is there that funnels and controls that. I gutted it out, so it just cycles the whole time. Also have, again, the sensor out here, but I'm pretty sure I have the mixture wrong, so I'm gonna pull that off and just dump all that out, and then I'll just put a cup of fabric softener back in, as well as fill her with water, and she should be good to go. So quick look at the Cruiser in the back. We're gonna pull a right strut from, and hopefully everything comes together for run 2. So here is the Cruiser we kept. It was run middle of the summer. It was the 3rd week of July. Unfortunately, didn't have a good run with her. It was my cousin's husband, Josh. He wanted to get in the car. We got it cheap, and I flipped it for him. Unfortunately, he was parallel, and right off the bat, 30 seconds in, and took a hard wheel shot. Didn't break the strut, the spindle, the control arm, nothing, but it junked the guts of the transmission. The inside of the transmission, you'd shift gears and it just violently kind of vibrates like the guts are either broken or out of alignment or whatever. So she's got a lot of life left, and unfortunately he didn't have a good run with her. But we kept her the last month because we are going to pull, as I mentioned, we are going to pull that strut out of her. So again, I believe it's the same setup. Measurement wise, at least it is, and it looks the same. So we're going to pull her off. Left her back here because I knew I had the other cruiser to run. So any other parts I'll pull off before I take it back to the scrap yard. So the first part we need for our second run in our O2 cruiser is the right strut. So let's get her off. So here we are back at it with the old PT Cruiser. I'm parting out here, and just to show, thought it was going to be a bit of a nightmare because it's so rusted, but I had a little bit of WD-40 left, and I just hit around the bolts with that. There's the bolts. And then I used my torque wrench. Again, if you can get any sort of a long grip or long type of pull or anything like that, even if you don't have a torque wrench, if I can say it right, just some sort of a pipe or something over it. But broke these guys loose, the nuts there, and then just put a socket on the bolt and came right off, and then just took the sledge and tapped it out. So that dropped the wheel down, so that was good. And then we just took the 14mm bolts off the top. So we're gonna just pop her down and out. And I believe we have what we need. We'll head to our cruiser to see if we can get the bent up one off and this guy in. So just a quick shot here. We have our second strut out, and dare I say, it came out even easier. Again, spindle seems good. As I mentioned, tie rod, CV shaft, everything seems good, but the wheel did have a slight turn to it before the Derby, and I still, even with the strut out and everything unhooked, can't fully tell what. But here they are side by side. So that's the one off of what was the 07 that I'm parting here as she's junking. You can see how right above the mount is where she bent over and the tire was rubbing across the top. So exact same strut, hoping it goes in as easy as it came out. Let's see if we can get her back together. And there we have her. Our older strut, I guess it's actually a newer strut. Our old strut's off. This one went right on, just slid it up in, bolted the top, just like I took it out, and then got it up to where I had the spindle pulled out with the wheel and got the bottom one in and got it fairly on there, not too tight, and turned it up, lined right up, and she is on. So that's it. Let's get the wheel on, see how she looks. And just before we get her back off the jack, you can see how aim's slightly in. Everything looks good, and this one's pretty straight but slightly in. But again, both wheels, this one probably more so, had a slight turn in from the accident, and then I bent the core underneath in that whenever you took that hit. So we're gonna pull her out. We're gonna beat the back end just around the wheels a little clear. This one here I don't have on tight yet. We're gonna beat back the wheel a little bit and drain out our little bit of too much, I think, fabric softener and water, and refill her and get our stuff back on it. She's ready to go. Let's finish her up. So just one final look as we have her all back together, ready to go. Got the rear end beat in a little bit on the corners. Try to harden them up a little bit and get them really just away from the wheels so that it's not dragging. Didn't do anything here. Again, middle's beat in pretty good, but still have the stock tank. You can see this one we also beat up just a little bit away from the wheel. Kind of tucks in and gets hard there. Can't really beat it much more in. Didn't do anything to the doors. Didn't do anything else inside. Just put our roof sign back on as we ran our launcher after we ran this one. So took it off. Got our, again, our battery, Derby battery holder there. Smith Metal Works battery holder back in, bolted in. I'll secure the chain there. A little bit extra chain with this one I had in there. The bumper up front, I did try to touch up the welds a little bit, just add a little bit more grip kind of along the side and along the bottom. Again, this bumper, you can see how, again, the frame rail's pressing back and in, but this bumper, the bottom part here was partly off. I need to get a blade, or not a blade, but rather a, we call it a disc for my grinder, to where I can clip off those and then have a clean weld on it. That's something I learned after I did my first couple bumpers here. This one I already was Dawn. So I have to get that, but just kind of touched up the welds inside. Again, up front, nothing. Filled her back up with water, fabric softener, a cup of that. Made sure the oil and the fluids and everything is good. Again, the line's only loop, but we have our piece there gutted, so the thermostat, so it's just cycling, and then again our sensor sitting on top, so she should cook. So this wheel, again, the strut we replaced and came together pretty good. Again, the vehicle was in an accident. Pretty sure this wheel got turned a little bit more in. Might be, I'm not really sure what it is. The tie rod's straight, the spindle looks straight, the strut's back on straight, but a little bit of a bend there. But that's her. Again, a lot of carnage over here. Definitely going to try to keep not only this wheel a little bit clean, but this side, again, I'm going to run the stock tank again, and that's pressed pretty tight to the tank. Got my bar in there, which is helping secure this part, but that part right in front of the rear wheel. So smaller track, we're taking her to Waterford, but hard-hitting track. Arguably the hardest hitting derby I was ever in was last year at Waterford. I was sore, in particular my neck, for some time. So that's her. Again, 2002 PT Cruiser. She had a good first run. We're hoping she has at least a fun second run. We'll see.